And welcome back to the channel, everybody. It's Shaka here from Shaka Gaming, and we're going to be checking out the top 3v3 or Stout squads that we could be using in 3v3 GAC. Super intrigued to see what we've got here, especially with datacrons. Interesting it is. Let's get into it, shall we? All right, so first and foremost, guys, these are 10 teams in no particular order, just kind of a random order here. And this is not necessarily defensive or offensive in nature. Some of them are going to work better probably on defense. Some of them will work better on offense. But they're just 10 teams that I find very intriguing for this upcoming 3v3 season in GAC. Obviously, a lot of this is very datacron driven. If you don't use datacrons at all, you can probably take some of what I'm saying with a grain of salt. I will specify, though, which teams are very datacron dependent and which ones are just kind of going to be awesome no matter whether you have datacrons or not. So, we're going to start things off here, guys, with one of my favorite teams actually to use. I know a lot of people hate Zori. I love this team. This is a Finn-led Resistance Hero Finn and Zori Bliss team. This team really works because of Zori. Without her, it is not nearly as good, folks. Basically, the key to this team is you need your Resistance Hero Finn to be super fast. If he is super fast, you're going to get out ahead of your opponent. You're going to constantly hit them with exposes. You're going to constantly gain turn. And because of the stealth mechanic with Zori's kit, you're not really going to be able to focus in on any one character. So it's super duper duper good. I think it's best probably on defense, but it can very much be used on offense as well to beat a lot of good comps too. This is a team that you really won't see a lot of benefit from datacrons with. Zori can benefit a little bit because of the Scoundrel crons that are out there, guys. But for the most part, Finn and Resistance Hero aren't going to see a whole lot of benefit from the datacron set that we currently have. So this is kind of one that will work no matter whether you have datacrons or not. So keep that in mind, guys. Next up, we've got the 501st Captain Rex team. So Captain Rex with Phoenix, I think, is your best bet in 5s, but in 3s, it kind of changes. You don't have that full Phoenix team. It's just not quite the same thing. Doesn't hit quite near as hard. So I have faced this a couple of times in 3s, and it's always a tricky team to use. The key thing here is, do you go for a GL against this, or you try to find some other alternative? Obviously, if you're forced to use a GL on this, they won. That's the way I would look at it. If this team forced a GL to be used to beat it, I am very, very happy with this being on defense. The key thing here, guys, is speed. Captain Rex is just so fast. He gets this team up and running. Rex can be fast, too. In case your Captain Rex isn't fast enough, your CT7567 can also help you to kind of get up and running as well. And this team can just be really tough to beat. Again, in terms of datacrons, you're not going to have a ton of datacron benefit from this. Captain Rex will get a little bit of benefit in terms of the Rebel cron that's currently coming out here, but Rex and 5s themselves, not really a huge benefit from this. But this is, again, not a super datacron dependent team, similar to the resistance team that we just talked about, guys. Going to be very good no matter the datacron set you have. If you have that Rebel cron, though, it's certainly going to help this team a little bit. Next one that we have here, guys, is the Maul-led Dark Side Mandalorians. So, first and foremost, this is a team, a lot of people, I think, don't realize just how good Gar Saxon and ISC, Imperial Super Commando, are. You could really use these guys, even just the two of them, on a team on offense, and you can beat gas. Like, they are really good, guys. Really amazingly good. Mine are only at Gear 12. I have not used them very much yet, in all honesty, but I am intrigued to see what they can do this season, because even at Gear 12, they can do some serious work. I faced just recently in 5v5 a Dark Side Mandalorian team with these two at Relic levels on it, and they almost single-handedly beat my Grievous team. I had gotten everything else but these two characters, and they almost beat my Grievous team. Like, it was insane. That's without a cron. Okay, that's without a cron, folks. Obviously, for me, I can't run a cron because I've got them at Gear 12. But if you've got these two at Relic levels, and you've got Maul, Or heck, even if you're using Maul with like Lord Vader, for instance, let's say, which I don't recommend you do on defense this season. But even if you don't have Maul at your disposal, guys, you could throw in, you know, Jango, and that gives you a really viable defensive Mandalorian team. Would I necessarily do that? Probably not. If I'm putting a team with these two characters on defense, it's going to be a Maul-led team. If I don't have Maul to go with them, I'm probably saving them for offense, and I'm going to use them on offense as an undermanned squad to try to beat something. But man, when you throw in the Cron, the Mandalorian Cron that goes along with these guys as well, and again, there's any number of versions that can go with this, guys. Sheesh, this team is going to absolutely destroy people on offense, and it is going to really trip up your opponent on defense. I really think this is one that's going to do some serious damage here in this current season of 3v3, especially if you've got the Crons to go with it, guys. Again, you'll be shocked, guys. If you have these guys at Relic, put them into use, because they can do some serious work. It's amazing how good they are, and how undervalued they are across the board. All right, next up, team number 4, guys. This is kind of a 2-for-1 special, if you will. So for me, it's Iden, Scout Trooper, and Shore Trooper, mostly because I don't have Dark Trooper Moff Gideon. If you have Dark Trooper Moff Gideon, this changes things. The key thing here is Scout Trooper, guys. Scout Trooper, when deployed on either Imperial Trooper team or an Imperial Remnant team, is really, really good. And of course, we know that there are datacrons coming out right now for the Empire as well, and they're going to do some serious work. The ideal version, I think, is going to be if you have Dark Trooper Moff Gideon, have him as the lead, have Scout Trooper, and then probably Stormtrooper, I would say, is the next best one, if you have the Dark Trooper Moff Gideon Cron. If you don't have that, or if you don't have Dark Trooper Moff Gideon like myself, you can really look at combining Iden with Scout Trooper and Shore Trooper here from a defensive standpoint, and you have a really, really tough team to beat here. It is Wampa-proof because of Scout Trooper. It's going to be very tough to beat against other teams. It's going to require a really, really high-level team to beat on defense. On offense, I probably would forego Shore Trooper and put in Death Trooper instead, just to give you the Death Mark ability here. But, again, any kind of combination of Imperial Troopers here, guys, with Scout Trooper in particular and Iden, is going to do some amazing work for you either on offense or defense. Again, obviously, this is a team that you could use without datacrons, and it's still going to be pretty effective. But if you have datacrons to go along with this, you're really going to see a massive increase in what they can do and what teams they can beat. Super excited for me personally to get this team up and running and working. Scout Trooper, I'm really hoping, currently as of recording here, Scout Trooper's only at Relic 1. I am really hoping to get Scout Trooper up to Relic 3 in time for lock so that I can put that Empire Cron on these guys, and they're going to do some serious work. All right, moving on to our number 5 team, guys. And 5 and 6 are kind of a combo team here. I'll go ahead and go do all 5 and 6 here together. And again, just as a reminder, guys, this is not a ranking, to be clear. This is not a ranking. These are just 10 teams with kind of a bonus at the end that we'll talk about that I think are going to be really, really impactful in this current season of 3v3. So, we have the Tuskens. The Tusken meta, guys. We have 3v3 versions of this, obviously, where we've got the Tusken Chieftain, Tusken Warrior, Boba Fett version, and the Tusken Shaman and Tusken Raider comp here. These teams really can be very tricky to beat without datacrons. You've got to have the right teams. Are they S-tier teams? No. But I would say they're pretty on par with everything that we've seen thus far. They're very much in that high B, maybe low A tier team in 3v3s, especially when you throw the datacrons on with these guys. They're going to be really, really very effective, whether you use them on offense or defense. These are two teams that I would particularly recommend on defense, especially the Tusken Shaman and Tusken Raider. I think those are really going to do significantly better on defense than necessarily on offense, or I should say are going to be more usable on defense than they will be on offense. I think you're going to have limited usage on offense with the Tuskens here. But both of these teams are going to be absolutely amazing, and you really, really should use them if you have them. Obviously, I do not have them. I'm not in any hurry to use them, because outside of them being really high-end level players at this point, there's not a huge benefit from them. So if you're like me and you've only got them at low gear levels, it's not worth using. But if you've got them because you invested in them for the crate raid guys, put them on defense. You're going to see some amazing results for them. Very, very good teams at 5 and 6 here. All right, number 7. This is the one that I alluded to in the thumbnail, guys. And we actually talked about this team over on Rogue Actions on Monday, guys. If you're interested to check out some more information on this team and some more discussion on this team, make sure you guys check out the Rogue Actions video as well, guys. This is a team that I think is going to be absolutely meta-defining, assuming CG does not nerf Chirrut. The cron that is out with this team right now is insane. And specifically, I'm talking about the Chirrut cron, guys. To be clear, this is the first team that we've had right now that is very datacron dependent. If you don't have the datacron for this team, I forget everything that I'm saying right now, because this is not that great of a team defensively. Or offensively, for that matter. It's I would say C tier probably at best. You might be able to throw your opponent off with it, just because they're not used to it. But if you've got this team at relic levels, you're probably shooting hard for the datacron. If it's like mine and you just got kind of gear levels, you're not putting this on defense. It's not going to do anything, guys. But man, with the datacron guys that you guys can get for Chirrut, if you get that one, even if you get the Saw one, even that's not bad. It's not the same level as the Chirrut one, but it's still not bad. But if you get that Chirrut cron, guys, and you could slap this on, this team literally can beat GLs in 5s. In 3s, I don't think that's going to happen. But in 5s, they are capable of beating GLs. For me, personally, I think this is probably going to be a team best put on defense. I do think Gas could beat it because of all the buffs that stack on this, so just be aware of that. That is a possibility. But I think most opponents are not going to know what to do against this. And if you put this on defense, especially like back wall, for instance, you're going to get a lot of holds, guys. They're going to really have problems beating this. They're going to struggle mightily to beat this. And absolutely worth pursuing that datacron if you guys are going for datacrons at all. Again, if you don't have datacrons, forget everything I just said about this team. Definitely not worth investing in, or I shouldn't say investing in. Definitely not worth putting on defense. Certainly worth investing in. Baze is a phenomenal tank to put with Leia if you've got Leia. So forget what I said about investing. Definitely a worthwhile team to invest in, but definitely need the datacron for this to work on defense or offense, in my opinion, for 3v3s. Okay, moving on to the next one. This is self-explanatory, guys, I think. If you've got Bo, well, she clearly is the best option here, especially if you have the datacron. But what I think is intriguing here in 3v3 is that you're probably going to be able to run Bo either solo or just with other leftover Mandos. And she's still going to win because of her cron, if you have her cron. Which begs the question, do you bother putting Bam in the same team as her in 3s, or do you try to run him in a separate comp? This is a question I don't necessarily know the answer to. I don't have Bo, but I'm really intrigued to see how this shapes out in 3v3s, whether people will keep Bam with Bo, or whether they're going to try to split them up into 2 separate teams. Since I don't have Bo, I'm obviously going to be using a Bam team. I still think even if I had Bo, I'd still probably be splitting them up into 2 different teams. Again, the cron that he has here, guys, is phenomenal. Phenomenal cron. He's going to do mad amounts of damage. He can't be beat once he goes into that poop stance. To be clear, if we're not using the cron, if the cron doesn't exist, guys, I don't use this specific version of this team. Instead, I put Dash in instead of Bam, run Dash Queel IG-11, or some variant of that. Maybe a Dash Vandy L3, something like that. But I would save Bam for offense to put with Fennec as a possible Lord Vader counter. During this current season, though, chances are your Bam is not going to be usable with Fennec to counter Lord Vader. And most likely people are not going to have Lord Vader on defense. So, keep that in mind. This current season, guys, I would not necessarily recommend saving Bam for offense for that specific counter. If you're saving Bam for offense for another reason, that's fine. But I think we're going to get our best bang for our buck, guys, with Bam probably on defense and running under this specific comp in particular. Again, that's certainly not a steadfast rule. Don't take me as the sole reason of being here or the sole source of truth, guys. This is just my thoughts. to be clear. But I'm interested to see what you guys think. Do you think I'm totally wrong on that? Do you think that I am on the right track with Bam? I think Bam is going to be a bit controversial in terms of what people think they should do with him and what comp specifically he should work with best. Let me know in comments, guys, what you think on Bam in particular there. Next up, we have AdRad, guys. I don't want to go too far here and give away our final bonus answer, guys. We have AdRad, guys. AdRad, come on, scroll. There we go. The reason I have this as being such a prime team, one, even outside of datacrons, this team can really do some work. To be clear, I have Scarif Rebel Pathfinder in this currently. I think that's the best version of this team. For me, that's not what I run just because he's only at gear 11. For me, I would run K2, or if it's on offense, I'd run Cassian. The reason I have a tank here is because if you are putting this on defense, you absolutely want a tank in this third slot. Whether it be, you know, Scarif Pathfinder or K2SO for my instance. The perk of this for this season, guys, is the Jyn datacron. With that stacking damage that she's going to get constantly, this is a team that if the opponent takes too long to take out, she's just going to wreck the opponent. So any kind of a team that would go against this and would take a long time to beat it is probably not going to win against it. If, for instance, I'll use Bad Batch as an example. Bad Batch is a team that, yes, controls them to some degree, but a lot of times it's just a soul grind of slowly doing damage against the AdRad team. If you don't keep this team under control with this datacron on Jyn, she's going to end up wrecking your team. You're going to have to really be careful on it. I don't think I would use this on defense personally. I think I still would hold this for offense, still use it on offense. And just there's a good chance that she's going to be able to punch up above what she would. For instance, Dark Trooper Moff Gideon teams usually are on defense because of how thick they are. This is a team that can beat Dark Trooper Moff Gideon teams. Currently with the Kron that's out, you might struggle, but if you have that stacking damage from Jyn Kron, there's a good chance you're going to still be able to beat that team. Again, whether you use it on defense or offense, I think it's dependent on your roster. But I think with that stacking damage, guys, I think it's really going to be very, very, very effective on offense in particular, but can also surprise your opponents on defense because suddenly she starts just destroying you and one-shotting you. Your entire team, too, because it's an AoE. Let's be honest here. Now, last but not least, before we reveal our final team/teams, we kind of have two of them, so to speak. If you guys are this far into the video, you guys should absolutely make sure that you are liking, subscribing, and turning on notifications, guys. We are getting really, really close to hitting monetization here on the channel, folks. We just basically need subscribers at this point. We have a lot of people that come back and watch my content, but are not subscribed. If you like the content, guys, come back, subscribe, makes it easier for you. It just tells you that the video's up. You don't have to look for it. Get over there, subscribe, push the button. It's really easy, guys. All right, with that being said, let's check out our final teams, plural. This is not something I would recommend doing in a regular season, to be clear. This is very datacron dependent, guys. Very datacron dependent. There are kind of two versions that I think could be effective here. And the whole idea of this is the Lando Cron. If you have Lando at Relic 5, which most people are going to have him at Relic 5, if you have the Lando Cron, he's going to constantly assist anytime somebody attacks out of turn. And we've got two teams here that involve a lot of counters and a lot of potential attack out of turns from Lando. So we've got the Zalbar mission team. Zalbar obviously gets Retribution a lot. He'll attack out of turn. When he attacks out of turn, Mission attacks with him. And so theoretically, Lando will actually attack twice there. I'd have to reread the kit to be sure that it's a limited to once per turn type situation. It probably is. But there is just so much opportunity for Lando to attack out of turn here with that team. And they're both scoundrels, so they still get a little bit of the benefit of his leadership. The other version that we have here is kind of what I would argue is probably a thicker version, but not quite as dangerous on offense. Or I shouldn't say dangerous on offense, as offensively dangerous is the way to put it here. And that is Vandor Chewbacca / either Emphas or L3. Typically, what I will do in 3, guys, I've actually run this team before, even without this cron. I've run the Lando, Vandor, and L3 team before, with the L3 cron in particular, to see if I can just throw people off with it. Most of them beat it, but they do use a very, very higher level team to beat it. I am intrigued to see if any of these versions can really put a thorn in the side of your opponent, guys, on defense in particular. I don't think that this is necessarily going to be a good offensive comp. You're really not going to be able to beat a lot of high-level teams with this. But it could be something that's a bit of a timeout risk, and or it might just surprise your opponent a little bit because of Lando constantly attacking out of turn and being able to do some pretty serious damage with the datacron and everything. Let me know in comments, guys. What do you think? Do you think that these teams have the potential to be really, really good and surprising and get some holds for you on defense, or beat some surprising teams on offense? Or do you think I'm totally out of my mind and I just don't have any idea what 3v3 does because I absolutely hate 3v3? I would be intrigued to see what you guys have to say. Last but not least, everybody, like I said earlier, if you did like the video, make sure you guys like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. I really, truly, truly, truly would appreciate it, everybody. We are really close to being able to get monetized here on this channel, and it would just be a really nice thing to kind of benefit the time and effort that I put into putting content out for you guys to be able to watch and learn from on Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. So appreciate it, guys. Last but not least, everybody, if you like what you saw today, make sure you continue your journey down that Swugger rabbit hole and check out the next video.